one of the differences between the full cave diver program and an intro program is the navigation, and we call it complex navigation.
Yeah.
So, what are the types of navigation that we might be asked to look at during the program?
Yeah, there's many different types, but you've got traverses going from one place to another. You've got gaps. They're just places that are safe between maybe one cenote and another, where you've got open water people who might be frequently visiting that same area or divers. Then we've got jumps where you're leaving one line to go to another line. You might have T's where there isn't a jump now, but it's actually that same line you're on and it's giving two ways to go. So, this definitely you want to be swimming past them without doing something or knowing where you are. And the important thing to say is that all these things have an element of stress added to it. If you've just got one way in, one way out, you could argue that's fairly simple. As long as you keep disciplining the team, no matter what you see on that line,
sure,
that way was in, that way is home. The second you change that or accept to change that, you're really putting yourself in a position where you need to be doing it correctly. You can definitely make yourself a big problem.
So I think that's one of the differences that we're covering really in way we're teaching now, is that it's all well and good to explain what these pieces are. This is what you do at a T, this is what you do at a jump. But you have to be able to have the skill level to install those without impacting the team, while communicating with everyone else and understanding your impact to the cave. But then it's really that idea of, are you going to only trust your markers? Do you have an idea of where you've gone in the cave so that you can come out safely? So, we're going to talk a little bit more about, should you mark your reel? Should you mark your spools? Should you only use cookies?
Yeah.
Should you only use arrows? So the actual types of navigation are really only a theoretical thing. It's the practical side of how you can actually perform that safely. Yeah. That's what I enjoy about that element of it. And you made a good point to say that it can be relatively stressful to do the work to get in, and there's a limit to how many things you should attempt on any one dive.
Yeah.
And if you then take that into let's call it the contingency situations, where we can introduce a zero vis exit, you have the chance of getting it wrong now. You have the chance of going the wrong way at a T. You might even follow, for example, your jump line, which you didn't install particularly well, and you might pull that off.
Yeah.
Particularly if there's a buoyancy change, for example.
I mean, one thing that you'll relate to as well, that's happened to me, and I don't know if we've ever discussed it before, but it is an interesting one, is that you've got a restrictive passage. It might go on for a little while, a couple of minutes swim, say, and you're quite close to the line. The line's running along the ground. It's very silty. There's that bit in Scuba, for example, where we go through. Now, obviously, because you can't see that well and that light you've got is reflecting, you either dim it down or sometimes just turn it out the way, right? Or clip it off. So it's just easier for you not to be blinded, and anything you can see kind of works, but you've limited yourself to, all right, I've got to suck this up for a bit. Mm-hmm. And have you ever been there where that line you're holding, you've just let go for a second and it seems like it's the end of the world? You just get that moment in your head where I'm in a restriction. And it's crazy, because if you think about it logically, that there is no way, you can't really get lost at this point.
Sure.
You can't even turn around a lot of the time. So all you can do is go one way forwards. So I've always thought to myself, well, forget the line now, because actually if you just go forwards, you'll eventually see it again. Now that is one way of thinking. The other way of thinking is that actually if you did that, you're causing yourself another problem, because that line is now a hindrance to you, whereas it was helping you all the time before.
Yes.
The fact you've let go and it's now there somewhere, well, if it's somewhere and you don't know where, there's a potential problem for it to contact you, isn't it?
But it was probably run in the better part of the passage, right?
Yeah, which is exactly why, people do that correctly. But usually it's a very short thing, 10 seconds, but it's just worth saying that, that problem is only very, very temporary. Once you get back hold of the line again, you're going ahead.
Sure.
But this is just one thing that people do need to understand. That isn't going to happen at intro level. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be in that scenario. Whereas in full cave, it's much more likely.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's about introducing it when it's relevant for the types of caves that you're now going to be trained to dive, and not exceeding those limits.